Hello everyone, it's Justin here with Walking with J Ren. This is going to be the first long-length video that I'm making right now. This one's kind of more to sit down and kind of explain my background and the explanation for the channel and why I'm so adamant about promoting cannabis use within nature. That's kind of what today's going to be about. I'm currently right now at Hartley, here in Duluth, Minnesota, which is this large park within Duluth, Minnesota. It's monarch, which there's actually a lot of protective milkweed here, which is the native plant that the monarchs feed off of. But yeah, this is Hartley, which right now I'm on top of Knob Rock, which is the highest point here in the park. This is literally in the middle of Duluth, Minnesota, like right in the middle of the town. There's a bunch of neighborhoods that surround it. And the reason why I'm starting the video here is this is essentially one of my places that has been a safe zone to me, or kind of just a zen place where I can come in and just reset and meditate. And I've been coming here since I was a little kid. But I think it's time. Got some water down here, some of my glass, some other materials to kind of help do this first video, long-term video at least. So we're gonna start with a little bit of a rip. Maybe one more. Okay, I guess we'll just kind of start at the beginning, kind of where I come from. So I'm originally born in Ely, Minnesota, which is about 2 hours north of where I'm at here, and it's kind of the starting point of what is also the world famous Boundary Waters. I was born in Ely in 1989 to a mother who was basically a kid. She tried her best for the first 2.5 years that she could, before it got to a point where she just had to make the decision to put me on the adoption list. At 2.5 years old, I met my lovely adopted parents, Jack and Loretta, who are absolute saints. My mother has recently passed, but my father's still around. So growing up, it was kind of a strong Christian background. Growing up, by age 4, I was already having problems within school and getting along with other people. And later would be diagnosed by age 5, diagnosed with not only ADHD and OCD, but also insomnia and what is the name of it? Essentially anti-authority disorder, and I just couldn't create strong bonds with people. I never felt like I connected with anyone, which kind of still to this day is kind of something I struggle with. So growing up, there was a lot of me starting fights and just being kind of a little violent at times, and just kind of, I had a lot of anger and pain inside. My very first memories as a child is literally going into the courthouse and watching my birth mother leave. So it's I had a lot of things built up inside. As things went on, though, like I had a great childhood. My parents were wonderful. Grew up in a mid to higher income, where I was involved in the church and whatnot, and did youth groups and all those kind of things. But as we got into middle school and I got around 13, 14 years old, I finally made my own individual discovery that I was adopted, and I kind of called my parents out on it, which turned things into a darker and more rebellious time period. But I was given all the paperwork and everything that my mom kind of has sent or whatnot at age 14. And after that, I kind of let go in school, and I just started hanging out with the wrong crowds, the wrong people, experimenting with drugs, drinking a lot. And age 16, my family and I decided to go make the trip out to visit my birth mom for the first time out in California. I'm 35 years old right now, and my birth mom still to this day is homeless. It's a little rough, but it's a lifestyle that she's chosen for herself, and she still does what she needs to get by, and I still love her to death. She's my mother. But that trip was hard. It made me see the woman who gave birth to me doing things that I never should have to see her doing, and that really spiraled me down for a while. In and out of jail a lot as a child, theft, other stupid stuff, getting caught drinking at parties and other things. But at age 17, as I was at a school that was for kind of like the unwanted kids, so to speak, I met with the Army recruiters, and it kind of looked like this opportunity for me to take a shot at a new life. But unfortunately, I didn't understand the concept of what addiction and mental health importance is. So I went in, I joined, I did a 6-year contract with the Army National Guard, where I highly enjoyed the training and the structure and everything about it. But I was so deep and dark in my own personal place that I still was doing dumb shit. I was a fuck up soldier. I was doing drugs and other shit. But I made it through all 6 years in the Army. And then afterwards, came back to Duluth after traveling to Fort Knox and other places. And just never really reestablished myself with my family or anybody else. Like, I just kind of, when I got out of the Army, I reconnected with the same bad people right off the bat. But I was still given opportunities by people. My buddy Jake gave me a chance to live with him, which we ended up, shortly after I got out of the Army, moving to South Carolina for a year, which was an amazing experience, and I loved it. The opportunity to just go out and see new cultures and experiences and see just these beautiful places and people that you don't get to if you don't just take the chance and get out. While I was there, we were still drinking a lot and just kind of having that party. I mean, I had a bunch of money from the Army and shit, so which got wasted quickly with dumb habits and stupid shit. But after a year of being there and struggling in the job market to find a place down there to work, in a place that predominantly hires kind of people that were residents of the area. Like, we just moved there and we're instantly trying to take jobs from the local people. So it didn't work out. And after about a year, little jobs here and there, I just ran out of cash flow and ended up moving back to Duluth. My very first night back here, one of my same buddies from back in the old days met up with me, and I had already been struggling with opioid addiction pretty heavily. I was taking a lot of morphine and Oxycontin all the time, and I got back from the train and he picked me up, like, a buddy who actually currently is no longer with us. He overdosed, unfortunately, to opioids. Huge epidemic here in the Duluth area, especially. But he picked me up, and I was kind of coming off of some morphine and whatnot, and introduced me to heroin day one I got back to Duluth. And that spiraled into the darkest times of my life. For 3 years, I bounced from friend to friend's homes, doing heroin in the background, not trying to let them know, just kind of skating around. And at night, going around doing shady ass shit, breaking into cars, doing dumb shit, which caught up with me. Caught up with me pretty quick. I became Duluth's most wanted for a long period of time. And heroin had a complete hold on me. I owed a lot of significant groups of people money, which luckily those debts are no longer owed anymore. But it led me to doing some robberies and some other things that were very dark and influenced by my unwillingness to open up and figure out mentally and emotionally what was going on within me. Instead, I just clouded and masked it with this just nasty drug. It tore my family apart for a while. Those burglaries ended up costing 8 more years of my life in prison, where I would witness some of the most disturbing things in my life. Watching literally people die in front of you over dumb shit. And after about 2 years in, I finally kind of just gave up on trying to play the tough guy bullshit that they normally play in there. I just started applying myself to treatments and other things. And I did that throughout the whole time there. Rekindled relationships within my family with my adoptive parents and my family. After I got out, I was required to go to treatments again, which I passed with no problem at all. And then a lifelong friend of mine who's never been into the hardcore drug scene or any of the stuff I was doing gave me an opportunity to live with him. And to this day, I still live with him and his family. My buddy Zach, or who I call the GOAT on some of my videos, his family took me in after I came out of prison. Gave me a spot and actually got me into my first couple of jobs out of prison. And I've been there for now about 5.5, 6 years. Out of prison, off of papers, completely turned. This year's 13 years off of heroin and all the hard stuff. But this is where I'm going to kind of explain the cannabis's role within my life and kind of the nature side of things too. After I got out of prison, I realized just how much even as a kid, I always felt more connected to nature and humans, and I always spent more time around that. I just felt more connected and more like I was understood while I was in nature or around animals. And after I got out of prison, I've been able to start kind of rekindling that and connecting with that. Zach and I go fishing a lot. Well, a lot of times I will be out hiking every day, going to the lakes. We have tons of lakes here in Minnesota. You can find them anywhere. And just kind of exploring and getting back into nature a lot. While I was in prison, I studied a lot of Buddhism, and it just kind of sparked this idea of like I just wanted to reconnect with nature in the deepest roots possible. And that's just like this pure form of hiking, just absorbing everything, feeling the plants, taking your shoes off and just connecting with the earth. If you really take the time and you just take your shoes off and get down on your hands and knees and feel the energy that the earth has, there's this actual physical magnetic heartbeat that she has. It's just so powerful, and it always takes me after 5 minutes in the woods or out at the lake. The heart feels so much brighter and more alive, and it's just this beautiful sensation. And all those times before prison, I was using cannabis quite a bit, and the problem is that I wasn't able to experience cannabis in its purity because I, since a young child, have been on at the worst level. I was at 17 pharmaceutical prescriptions at once that I had to take 3 times a day. I never got to experience cannabis in its purest form. So when I got out of prison, which I wasn't able to take a lot of those pharmaceutical drugs within the prison, I was kind of weaned off of those and just kind of forced to go through the battle of finding who I am within myself, which was the hardest and darkest time of my life. But it helped me to understand, to even this day, I would never take back anything that happened within my life. Everything happens for a reason. It creates who you are and builds you stronger. Each downfall that you come back from is just another essential step that just creates you into a stronger being. And when I got out of prison and I got back to living with Zach, and Zach's another strong cannabis advocate. He got me back reintroduced to using cannabis, and I was still on some pharmaceuticals and shit, but after only a couple months, I was still on court papers. I told the courts and my parole officer that I was done. I just wanted to get off of them. I didn't want them anymore, because while I was on them, I was a zombie. I didn't understand what my emotions were within. I didn't understand what spiritually I was drained, and mentally, emotionally, like there was nothing there. So I wanted to get off of them. I wanted to live with the emotions, understand them, like accept the pain, accept the sadness, experience the joy, the love, the happiness, all of it. So, and then a year out from prison, I got off paper. I was no longer required by the state to not be able to smoke cannabis. And I reintroduced cannabis. And ever since then, it has been one of the biggest and most powerful tools that has helped me every day, besides this wonderful outdoors. Cannabis literally has taken all of that darkness and everything and made it bright. It's given me this sense of awakening and just happiness all the time. When I spike in these moments of depression or anxiety or whatever, I mean, literally, I take a little bit of cannabis and it's gone. My PTSD and my insomnia, I still struggle with insomnia a lot. I barely ever sleep. But my PTSD, from seeing people stabbed, other things, I hit that bong or that cart or whatever it is, and that THC instantly, in seconds, gives me the sensation of relief. And it's just something that I believe, like, the government tries so hard to make it into this bad thing, but it's like they need to do their fucking research. I mean, this is something that really helps, and it's been proven in the Veteran Society. It's been proven with people with epilepsy, cancer, whatever, on and on and on. It needs to stop. They need to let us experience this plant in its amazing form. I mean, this is something that has been used for thousands and thousands of years, for spiritual reasons, for health reasons, all sorts of things, for thousands and thousands of years. So I'm kind of very adamant about this plant. It has literally saved me. It has prevented me and taken me out of darkness that was literally on the verge of suicide and killing myself. So I'm very adamant about this, along with just, there's something even better when you combine cannabis and nature together. And that's kind of what this channel is going to be, is just understanding how beautiful and amazing nature is, especially when you get cannabis. Occasionally, I might do some mushrooms on here. I believe natural psychedelics and weed are very healthy for us, in controlled manners. But they have these awakenings and these resets that really are vital to humans in recovery and just staying healthy. So it's very adamant. So that's kind of what this channel is going to be about, and just kind of enjoying nature and cannabis together with each other. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this hike back down to my truck. And this hike here is called the Tunnel Trail. It's this beautiful trail. That's just, once you get about halfway through the trail, there's this huge section that is just lined with lilacs everywhere on the side. It's gorgeous. There's just wildflowers everywhere, daisies, honeysuckles, all sorts of other stuff are there. Occasionally you'll even see Minnesota's rare lady slipper. That is here too. And some of the history about this place quickly too is that this actually used to be an old cattle ranch back in the day, and it was eventually given back to the city and built into what it is today, which is this huge nature preserve in the middle of Duluth. But yeah, I'm gonna take you on the back on this trail and then get to the truck, and that'll be this video for today. And just kind of the general breakdown of what this is gonna be. I love you guys, and let's get this hike going. I'm gonna have to set you down while I get my stuff ready. So I'll give you guys a little view of the lake. I feel like we gotta hit a bowl here quick before we go. There we go, that's some good shit. Now we can get up. And we will continue this hike. So, this hike, you guys, I've been doing since I was a little kid, here at Hartley Nature Center. Like I said, this is Knob Hill, or Knob Rock Hill, the highest point in Hartley, and I think it's like the second or third highest point in Duluth. But we take our way back down this giant boulder area. I'm sorry for my flip-flops in the video. I prefer to either hike in as minimal style of shoe as possible or barefoot. Just for, again, like I said, that connectivity to Earth and its magnetic heartbeat that it has. And then just everywhere on this trail there's bees and birds and wildflowers everywhere. I always loved this place. Oop. Got a rabbit or something running in there. But right here at this intersection, you can either go down the rock face here, or you can take this, and this is the Tunnel Trail. This is what I was talking about, that has the lilacs and everything. And here you guys can see this is the milkweed. This is what the monarchs are feeding on. It's the only thing they eat, and it's actually, unfortunately, getting damaged in its natural habitat a lot, which is why this place is a very good safe haven for the monarchs. But yeah, just a lot of just natural wildlife. Duluth is part of the Lake Superior Basin, which was originally part of a volcano. The entire lake is actually a giant volcano crater in the whole Duluth area and North Shore. There was the Ice Age kind of during that time too. But yeah, this is the tunnel trail. You got a lot of these, some little berry trees and other things, some honeysuckles. Oftentimes I'll have the birds or chipmunks following if I'm just walking without recording. Usually I'm barefoot and a lot quieter. Even to the point where I've been able to get up and sit next to deer out here. It's kind of just a peaceful little retreat. Some of the wild daisies. Yeah, so this whole place now is just a protected preserve within the city. Some species here kind of just only thrive here. So there are some protected species. Here we'll kind of get into some of why it's called the actual tunnel. You get into these sections that are literally feels like almost that Lord of the Rings-esque like trails. It's just absolutely gorgeous. You have these just gorgeous trees everywhere, like the sun through the canopy. I mean, there's just something that it does when you're out in nature that absolutely resets your body. I mean, there's just something, nothing is better than it at providing this natural, like, I can't even explain it, this bright aura that it gives you when you're in nature. It's just amazing. There's some of the huge birches, which unfortunately birch is another tree that's been getting harder to find in the state unless you go farther north. Like I was saying, up in Ely area where I was born, that can be found more commonly in the Boundary Waters because that is one of the largest protected areas in the whole entire state. And here we'll kind of get into this little opening meadow here on the trail and see, like, there's just bees that are collecting the pollen everywhere. These gorgeous little wild flowers everywhere. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. And the sounds out here, especially on a day where it's kind of like this, it's about 65 to 70 degrees. There's a nice breeze going. It's so amazingly beautiful out here. Because there's just this song, like, oh, here's some of the lilacs. But yeah, there's like this song from the wind coming through the high grasses and the trees here. And it's one of the most powerful, like, Zen meditation things ever. On top of, like, obviously the crickets at night and the frogs and, like, hundreds and hundreds of birds that will be around here if I wasn't being so loud right now. Which I'm trying to be quiet, but yeah, this is the tunnel trail, which absolutely my favorite. Oop, try not to kill the bee there. Try to avoid doing that. We're gonna get into Here's where the canopy kind of will cover us a little bit more. And here in Duluth, there's actually a lot of big, huge parks like this surrounding the outer part of the city and several in the city. So, I mean, here there's plenty of opportunities for you to kind of find this like natural reset where you can get away from that 9 to 5 and just kind of reset and clear your mind. And it's absolutely needed. I mean, it's just essential to get these resets. Yeah, but I've been hiking these trails since I was about 6-7 years old. This is kind of in the middle of Duluth. I grew up in the East End, which is out in Lakeside, which I'll be putting a video out about that here shortly. My uncle actually introduced me to this, my Uncle David. Absolutely gorgeous trail. And there's tons of trails all along throughout Hartley. This is just one out of miles and miles of tunnel, like trails through the whole entire park. Some are only for mountain bikes or skiing, but most of them are hiker friendly. Ooh, there's a stump there. On top of, while you're here too, most of these trails are very moderate to easy. Pretty much anyone can hike the trails here at Hartley. It's not until you get out into like the west or east side of Duluth, on the outskirts of Duluth, where they have parks with kind of some little rougher terrain. Yeah, this one's very casual. Usually when I'm on this trail, I will find deer kind of hiding in here eating. I've come across black bear in here before too. They'll come in here, and there's parts of the park that have like wild berry patches. So there is wildlife in the park. Even though we're in the middle of the city, the park is big enough to withhold and accommodate many of these animals. As we keep going towards my truck, you'll also see that there is a large pond on this property that provides a huge water source and a creek that goes all the way to Lake Superior, which is here in Duluth too. But this pond provides a lot of safe haven for birds and other things. We're actually almost right up to it. These parks are all of our parks are supported by volunteer programs. So all the trail and upkeep that you see around the area is done actually by volunteers. Especially like a lot of them are mountain biking trails, which are coming pretty popular like nationwide. Are all built by hand by volunteer. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but they work their butt off and they make it work. So they also do a lot of day camps here at Hartley for kids in the schools. So that's why there's like these canoes here that allow these children to kind of do these programs out here. Hartley's always held those. But yeah, this is the pond at Hartley. There's not a lot of like big fish in here. There's like bluegills and some crappies and a few other things. But I mean, it's just a cool, chill place to come. There's many times I'll just come and sit at the end of this dock, actually. Play a little bit of Tash Sultana and meditate. That's another thing. Tash Sultana is, God, by far my favorite artist of all time. But this is Hartley Pond. All of this is still part of what was originally a cattle farm for dairy, which is crazy. And then over on that end of the pond over here, we have the dam, which has a little bit of like hydro. It's a tiny hydro station. It's more so just to kind of control the flow of the pond. But yeah, this is all originally back in, God, I want to say 20s all the way to 40s, and I can't remember. But it was a dairy farm that had none of these trees here and all that. Like, most of these trees were not here. This is all regrowth and reforestation, which is beautiful. There's some of the white lilacs. That's another one of the tunnel trails. That one's more for the bikes. It takes a different route than the one we just hiked. But then you can either go back there and take this like main hiking road, which just looks like this the whole time, or we can go up here and I'll show you as we follow the creek. But yeah, this is just mini parks like this in the Duluth area and all throughout the Midwest. I grew up, my mom and dad were very adamant about camping and being outdoors, which is another reason why I've grown so adamantly about it. I mean, I'd say probably 80% of our summers were spent camping or like at the deer shack or out fishing, doing something outdoors. And that's one reason that's actually like, it's hard for me now that I'm like an adult here in Duluth. Growing up, Duluth was much smaller and we weren't as famous as we are now. Duluth has grown drastically in the last 10 to 15 years because of all of our outdoor stuff. And we're right on the North Shore. We're on the beginning portion of the North Shore like scenic drive, so it's like the town has become a lot bigger. The colleges have grown, and me, I've grown more to love this idea of just these smaller communities spread without, that are kind of tucked into like wilderness. That's why I think it would be awesome and amazing to do the like eco village or something along like the eco village communities. Like, would be amazing. Just everyone connecting with earth and just, it's a healthier lifestyle all in general. I mean, I hate being in town. I absolutely hate being around large groups of people. I just don't do well. And Duluth has gotten to the point where it's way bigger than I would like it to be. And so it's another kind of reason why I'm starting this channel, is because I'm really going to push myself more to just kind of push myself to be out of town as much as possible. until I can get to a point where I can finally move to somewhere. The dream goal would be either Oregon or Colorado. Somewhere in a small community that's in the mountainous kind of area. I've always been attracted to the mountains since I was 4 or 5 years old. There's just something about the mountains that I literally can give a fuck less about phones, internet, whatever, when I'm in the mountains. Even more so than when I'm just out here on the trails or somewhere else. When I get in the mountains, I forget the rest of the world. It's just, so that's the end goal, is I would love to do a self-sustaining, like, micro home in the mountains or near mountains or the coast. The coast is beautiful in Oregon. But those are dreams for the future, and goals to work towards. So we're getting not too much farther from actually the parking lot. So I hope you guys don't mind this kind of longer video today. Just kind of breaking down what this channel is and why I'm passionate about this project. So there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to have to work towards. There's projects like getting my truck set up and ready to be overlanding and capable of doing a lot more traveling. There's a lot of work that needs to be put into that to make that happen. And that obviously requires a lot of money. So yeah, these are things that we'll push forward and work towards. But we're gonna do it. Right now, we're getting to this giant willow section here, and this actually is only a few willow trees. It looks like there's a bunch of them. It's not. They nicknamed these couple of willows that are in this section the climbing trees. And as we get up in here, I'll show you why. It's just kind of like a little kid's parkour climbing gym dream. I love it. Yeah, this is the climbing trees. And it's just, let's see, 1, 2, it's only 3 willows. That just, they span over this creek bed here. Like you guys can see, the creek literally just crawls underneath. Yeah, these are the climbing trees though. Absolutely gorgeous willows. Just beautiful. This here in front of me is the Hartley Nature Center, where you can get information. They hold classes and some events in there. And then this whole fenced area in front of it is all native species to the area. So this is an all-natural flower garden, essentially, which is filled with plants that are native to Minnesota. So yeah, this is the garden area. Some tents that are used for part of the programs that are here. There's some birds on the feeder, just kind of hanging out. Some of these gorgeous wildflowers. But yeah, these are all part of like a natural wildflower, and its primary goal here, you can see on this site, is for the monarchs. So it's essentially a refuge or a safe haven for them. which is amazing. But yeah, this is Hartley Nature Center. Open all the way until 10 p.m. at night. They open at 6 in the morning and 10 p.m. at night. So, beautiful park in the local area. Which the park itself actually has a lot of history behind it. Which is also a really cool thing about this park. But yeah, that's just one of the trails here at Hartley. So now we'll get up here. And there's actually part of the trail. There's a trail system that runs through this park too. And all the way from the east side of our city, 20 plus miles to the west side of the city, which is called the Lake Superior Hiking Trail. Yeah, now we're back to the truck. Back to the truck. Let's get our stuff in here. Ooh. Ooh. Let's see. It's hot as shit in here. So we're definitely gonna have to get these fucking windows open. Take this fucking hoodie and shit off, and then get ready to kind of close this video up. So there we go. There's kind of a brief background of my life and why I'm so adamant about just spending more time out in nature and using cannabis to benefit and increase the natural effects and things it does for spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, like every aspect of your health. So that's the layout. There you guys kind of get a first big video that kind of shows you one of the trails that I've grown up on. I think soon we're going to take a trip up to Ely, and I'll show you around the Ely area. That's one of my favorite and most beautiful places. I mean, I was born there. So there's just, and it's, the lakes there are like absolutely gorgeous. So I think a couple of videos sometime soon coming up. We'll get up to Ely and check that out. Tomorrow I think we're gonna either go out to either J Cook, which is on the west side of Duluth, all the way on the far end, or I'm gonna go back towards kind of my neighborhood area on the east end where Lester River Park is, and that's where I grew up. A lot of cliff jumping, swimming, fishing, and like that was the place to be as a kid. Still usually has a lot of people there. But yeah, so that'll be kind of the plans for coming up soon. We might do that. Heck, we might do Lester one day, then maybe later on in the week I'll do J Cook. I don't know. We'll figure it out. have a year-round park pass that I get that allows me to go to all the parks, which there's over 50 of them, state parks and national parks. Within the state and national parks, there's well over 50 within the state. So there's a lot of places I can show you here just in Minnesota alone, you guys, which we'll be doing. We'll be adding cannabis to it. The only medicine I take now, I've been pharmaceutical free for over fucking 8 years now. I refuse to go back to it. I don't even like taking fucking ibuprofen anymore. So we're gonna take some medicine, close out this video. So I love you guys. Remember, each day find something beautiful and find something to be blessed. Like, you know, every one of us deserves beauty and blessings, you guys. So I love you guys. And these videos probably will normally range only 20-30 minutes in the future. Not this longer dragged out video that you guys are getting today. So again, love you guys.